Thank you all for joining us tonight for this wonderful occasion, Svetlana Meritt's book launch. My name is Liliana Coughlin and I teach in the writing program at UC Santa Barbara. So the format for tonight is that we're going to have two brief introductions. I'm going to say a few words about Svetlana's life journey, and then we're going to have Dr. Jonathan Young who's going to say a few words about heroes, or rather heroines' journey. And then Svetlana is going to talk about her book, and she's going to show us her photographs of ancient sacred sites. And joining us at the piano tonight is John Enrico Douglas, who is a music educator and director. Thank you, John. So it is my great pleasure to introduce tonight Svetlana Meritt, a writer, a teacher, a former journalist, intrepid traveler, and a dear friend of mine, as she's launching her book, Meet Me in the Underworld. So I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Jonathan Young, who is a founding curator of Joseph Campbell's archive at the Pacifica Graduate Institute, where he also created and chaired the Mythological Studies Department, and he's going to talk a bit about the hero's journey. So please welcome Jonathan Young.
Something calls us. We are living our lives, whether in Santa Barbara or Belgrade. We are living, we are busy, we are perhaps fulfilled. I just got taller. We have friends, we have work, we have passions. And yet there is a yearning, there is a restlessness, something, well, calls for a change of scenery, interesting phrase. It might be something small like that. Let's see some other place. Or it may be something large. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing here. There must be some meaning to all of this. Things like this stirred Svetlana, and off she went, and went, and went. A book like this is a mirror. I don't think she meant it as a self-help book, directly speaking, but it turns out to be that, because as you read her experiences, you will remember your own, her ordeals, you will remember your challenges, her breakthroughs and moments of enlightenment, her epiphanies, and you will remember yours. Some are a bit like hers, some are very different, but it will trigger those memories. But the return is a challenge of its own, and that is the point that Svetlana is inhabiting right at this moment, where you take these lessons, these unseen things, and bring them over the threshold to make them available to others. In the East, it's called being a bodhisattva. You have encountered something, you have learned something, and you can go tend your garden now if you wish. But it is an act of great generosity to go to sacrifice the trouble, to lay it out for others, to make it available, and that is what this book does.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and joining me for this event. And thank you, Liliana, and thank you, Jonathan. Here it is. Meet Me in the Underworld. And you heard the subtitle. I don't want to repeat it. So, to give you a little visual reference, and to tie in with Liliana's geographic journey, I came from Belgrade, which is right here, somewhere there, tiny little country, city in a country, to Santa Barbara. Here is the island of Cyprus, and this is where we began our journey. We went to study with a teacher and healer called Daskalos. And that was the reason why we started. But then the journey took its own life, and we continued to Egypt and India, and then Greece and Italy and France. So that's the geographic framework of the book. So I thought I was after one thing, but it turned out, oh boy, I had to find something else. And that something else I had to find was actually nothing less than my soul and my creative mission in life. And for that, I descended into the underworld, which is symbolic, my subconscious, but also physical, as in the crypt of the Chartres Cathedral, where we were accidentally locked in. One of the concepts that actually informs and really influenced my experience, my learning, my growth, were of course sacred sites. And what makes sacred sites sacred is the presence of the earth energy. And I just want to give you a very brief overview of what earth energy is, so you know what I'm talking about. So all these names describe one and the same thing, and that is the presence of meandering channels of an invisible force that flow through the crust of the earth. In scientific terms, this would be called electromagnetic field. Well, this electromagnetic field, or subtle energies, or telluric force, or serpent current, is something that is present everywhere, but in certain places it's stronger than in others. In still other places, those lines intersect, and the places where they intersect, the so-called nodes, are places of special power, and that's where ancient people built their shrines and temples, because it was at those places that those places were conducive for opening of our consciousness to superhuman experiences, to alternate states of consciousness, to healing, to mystical experiences, to enlightenment. And it was at these places that some of my personal experiences also happened. So we are alone in the pitch black of the Great Pyramid. And Dwight stays behind, so I'm basically on my own, and I know the map of the inside of the Great Pyramid because I memorized it by heart. So I know exactly how to get to the King's Chamber up the Grand Gallery, and I was determined to face my fears of, guess what? Darkness and claustrophobia. So this is how I did it. In the sarcophagus, of course the picture was taken later, but you can imagine it's like sensory deprivation tank. Your senses literally get scrambled. You don't know what is up, what is down, what is left, what is right, day or night, light or dark. It all gets one blurred vibration, and you are in the void. And in that void, things happen. Delphic Oracle was famous in the ancient world. It's located on the Mount Parnassus, which was the home of Orpheus and the Muses, and it was also a place to go to when you wanted to find out what is the right thing to do in life. So I was headed there to ask Apollo, okay, what is my mission in life? Well, I didn't get any answer there, so I continued to Epidaurus, the biggest healing center of antiquity. And in Epidaurus, in the ancient times, when seekers came to seek healing from the god Asclepius, this is Asclepius with his sacred animal snake. The other sacred animal was a dog, but it's not here on the picture. So part of the healing protocol was to go to Abaton and spend the night in the sleeping ward. So the patients were wrapped like larvae, and they were left in the very narrow chambers like cocoons to spend the night and hopefully have a dream, prophetic dream on a cure. Maybe God Asclepius shows in the dream. Maybe he sends his sacred animals. So on this wall right here, Dwight and I lied head to toes, and I was invoking some kind of message, some kind of image, some kind of pointer, where should I go? So the answer comes in the shape of a dog. A dog just like this was lying at my feet, his paws basically touching my feet and staring at me. So we stared at each other for a long while, and I realized, my gosh, that dog looks just like Anubis, and just like this statue of Anubis from Tutankhamun's tomb. And so Anubis became my guide. It took me 2 years to figure out what was the actual message of his appearance. What did he try to tell me? 2 years of traveling. And that travel took us to Italy, which now I'm going to skip, and I'm just going to say a few words about our travels to France. Because in France, the south of France in particular, is a home to so many fascinating sites that have to do with Knights Templar, the worship of Mary Magdalene, the cult of Black Madonna, the underground Christianity, the Cathar movement and their return to the pure faith, the original teachings of Jesus. So the whole area of the Provence and Languedoc region is literally bathed in myths and legends and in mysterious places. And the northwestern part, the area called Brittany, is where I'm going to take you now. Because that's the place where you find the remnants of Neolithic civilization from way back 10,000 years ago and earlier. Brittany is studded with megaliths. And megaliths are huge stones that can be stand alone as menhirs or in alignments. More and more today, the sacred sites are becoming part of our reality as more people discover what they were about. Right here, the Gulf of Morbihan, the south of Brittany, there is a tiny island, and on that tiny island there is this cairn that is fully decorated, and it's so beautiful that it has been proclaimed the masterpiece of the universal art. And in this cairn, which is tiny little chamber underneath this huge mound of stones, was a place where rites were held to honor Mother Goddess. There is a narrow passage, as you can see here, and this is actually a boy, so the passage is really short, so you have to stoop and bend in order to get in. And you walk along these menhirs that are intricately carved in the symbols of Mother Goddess culture, and you have the impression of entering the womb of this dark deity that is waiting to be impregnated. So it's up to us to decide, what do we want to impregnate Mother Earth with? Personally, at this place, I had an experience that taught me great humility and shed light on the fears and the issues and the dangers that I had to go through during our trip to France. Again, the details of the experience are in my book.